So the initial idea was to try and use machine learning technologies to restore the missing fragments in the sculptures of classical antiquity. And in that case, classical antiquity became a subject of this inquiry for various reasons. So one of them is there is enough data, there is enough sculptural objects of classical antiquity that allow to create a big enough data set to train neural networks on. And the other point of reference was that I'm very much interested in aesthetical repercussions of this machine renderings of classical antiquity. And the aesthetic of classical antiquity itself is very familiar to our eye. So if something goes wrong with it, we notice it, right? I consider this in many ways a starting point for the project because I'm much more interested in looking further into other forms of historical investigations, both critically and also artistically.
To me, the project content-aware studies is a really interesting way of dealing with the question of programmable matter, but without reproducing what's often called a hylomorphic scheme, that there's matter and then we're activating it by bringing form to it, which in this case would be programmability of it as well. But really looking at the multiple ways matter, sculptural matter, whatever it is already active in multiple ways, but bringing it into dialogue both with theories of new materialism, but also these concrete practices. I see the project as a research of philosophical object as well, through which we can articulate the ideas that are central to new materialism. In other words, dynamics of matter and the ways in which we know about matter as an active format. So the knowing of matter becomes rehearsed through this practice-based inquiry. To use the words of, I think it was Sherry Turkle, we can talk about objects to think with, but in this case, the object to think with is really a dynamic, temporal, sculptural, of course, but also programmable set of entities. And I think this hybrid nature of this entity that is at the center of content-aware studies is really interesting from the point of view of philosophy, but also point of view of how to do philosophy, how to really do philosophy with material objects.
So data becomes this clay from which the object is being produced, which opens this whole new perspective of looking onto materials and matters as computational elements, but also the computation that goes beyond the computers, that every particular object is in some sort of way becomes part of computational processes.